Howdy, y'all. This is Thomas here covering some breaking news, really epic in terms of the stock market, energy costs, and of course the gas prices for daily, the American use and really just around the world. The oil prices have spiked the energy prices for every household drastically. So that's a major point of contention, and it was real interesting today. He made an announcement of releasing the strategic oil reserves. Expected 180 million barrels released out of the 568 million that the U.S. is that has in possession. Interesting enough, though, is recently, as of November, they had released 50 million reserves, and those still haven't made it to the EU. So I'm wondering, I think the EU might react positively to the news. But we'll see how if it is actually getting delivered, and then at what price, because everything, transportation of oil across the Atlantic is definitely not going to be free either. So interesting, there's always a hidden cost, overhead, so some, just hidden numbers that aren't mentioned. So I like to take those into consideration, find just different angles to process information, and try to look at it from different points of view, and try to come with a rational and high probability outcome. So that was some pretty big news, especially since this is on the sanctions. Russia, getting sanctioned by most of the world, it seems, but not the entire world, which is causing some people to think about them secondary sanctions. India is the third biggest consumer of oil, behind U.S. and China, and they're definitely not stepping aside, or putting any sanctions on. They just purchased 6 million barrels for March and April. So that's a pretty big number, seeing that it was half of what they purchased in 2021, for the entire year. But it's at a 30% discount, so it's kind of hard to blame them. They have to keep the lights on for their people too. So that that's the free market. So it's kind of interesting to see, how politics is really affecting what is known as the free market. It's the free market until, and then there's always something behind that. So have seen that recently with the nickel. The nickel short squeeze. If you're unfamiliar with the nickel short squeeze, but you like short squeezes because maybe you're familiar with the AMC or the GME, then definitely check that out. I do have a video on there, covering that news. So you can go check that out and tell me what you think about that. But the gas prices are clearly going up. A year ago, it was $2.87 average. A month ago, it was $3.61 average, and today the average is $4.23. Obviously, this photo is taken to higher. I'm not saying that there's not gas at that price, because there definitely is, but that was taken at a higher average, higher above average. So those are brought, that source is AAA, so that's pretty reliable source of gas, since they're using they're using gas every day. So he did mention a plan called the Use It or Lose It, and it I was just having a check, stay till the end, so you can see the how it's affecting the energy sector and the markets overall. We'll take a look at some at the best performing ETF. Uh, so yeah, stay tuned for the end for that one. And yeah, so here's this, and tell me what you think about this. This use it or lose it tax on the leaseholders who have leases on federal land, but are not actively drilling on it. So yeah, tell me what y'all think about that. It's gonna, obviously it'll put pressure on them to get them underway. Um, to what level, and is that investment, good or bad? It does. It's interesting. It's kind of putting that feet to the fire on them, so that they kind of start drilling. Um, because his comments were the oil industry has made 80 billion in profits this last year. So they're definitely, but they're sharing it on the dividends. So if you're so I definitely enjoy my dividend stocks. My oil stocks, those are good. um and I don't think that they will see some profit reduction as prices come down, but they're still an extremely lucrative business, and I don't really see them going out of favor. Well, maybe out of sentiment, but not out of practical use case. So that's interesting. uh but the but yeah, they authorize with the Defense Production Act, um really subsidizing the lithium, the graphite, and the nickel, for U.S. producers, and friendly nations. Import from friendly nations. So that's an interesting angle. That's kind of what, one of the things that I enjoy doing, and want to provide for y'all is how these decisions are affecting investment, investment strategies, for the long run. Um, so so definitely, just, I'm just doing some due diligence here, and trying to find ways to implement the world happenings into my portfolio. So if y'all are into that, then definitely, like and subscribe, and come along with the journey. So we'll bring some information, little known information, and just a different perspective. So if y'all are enjoying the content, then, like I said, you know what to do with all that, all that high speed fun stuff down there. Um, so yeah, it's this article is here is well put together. It talks about the strategic petroleum reserves being released, and how that's gonna provide short term relief. Well, I expect it to provide short-term release. We'll see how it happens. I mean, I'm sure we'll feel the effects faster in the U.S. than in Europe, but we'll see how how Europe deals with the backlash of sanctions, and the whole economic, scuffle, high stakes scuffle that's happening, um, on the global stage. So so here it is. I didn't want to bring this here paragraph. I'll put it at the top here. So yeah, that said, this is interesting here. Got some Goldman Sachs. Various analysts have weighed on this topic on Thursday. Goldman Sachs released a research note that highlighted the fact that while this move may help the energy market rebalance in the near term, the long-term structural issues are likely to remain in place. And that's true. I don't see how feasible it will be to ship oil, um, from the U.S. to to the EU. How, the price on that, and who's going to pay that, is definitely going to be reflected at the gas pump as well. So they might have to factor that into the ESG. Um, okay, go ahead. And then Yeah, so and that, that might be just a subsidy that goes into the budget, the ever expanding budget. So interesting to see how that works out. So yeah, but overall it's been, continuing.